Hey, this is Bjorn.
And this is Dirk from Soilwork, and you're watching Artisan News.
When we entered the studio, a lot of tragic events took place. Already by the time, I think it was the first week in the studio, one member had 2 deaths within his family, and it just kept on coming. So it was really rough and almost to a point where it got surreal. And but I think it was, you know, in a way, I'm grateful that we were in the studio, because I don't know what would have happened if we had like a year off and all this went down. It would have been even harder, I think, because the music became a big comfort, and we were there to support each other as well. Yeah. So it became a big comfort, and I think obviously it affected us a lot, you know, being in the studio. I think it became even more real, you know, with channeling emotions through the music. And you know, for example, when I was laying down the vocals, my 94-year-old grandma passed away during the recording. And I mean, that was only natural. I guess she lived a very long life, but she was also one of my absolute best friends. So it was definitely rough, and to see, you know, death that close, you know, regardless. So it definitely affected me in the way you know, how I approach the vocal recording.
And speaking of the vocal recording, I know you recorded at your childhood home. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how that sort of impacted your vocals and the music?
Well, I just recently moved into an apartment in this city of my youth, basically. That's where I kind of grew up and played hockey and soccer, and also started my first bands. So it was a great way of reconnecting, and it was the first time, you know, producing the vocals on my own. But I think it was a great experience for me, and to be able to reconnect, to kind of grasp what I've been doing the latest 20 years. So and I kind of spread out the vocal recording a little bit. Like, it took me 6 weeks, and I did a little bit, you know, a couple of hours every day, rather than, you know, being in an actual studio and you know, being the vocalist, and it's like, okay, you got 2 weeks and you have a deadline, and it's usually pretty rough, especially, you know, mentally. I wouldn't really say like vocally. My voice can take a lot of beating, you know, but mentally it just gives you a crazy headache. So I was glad I could kind of spread it out like that and feel more relaxed about it, and give each and every song the attention it deserved.
So can you tell me a little bit about the album, the title track, the Ride Majestic?
I think that was one of the first songs that came together for the album, and Bjorn pretty much wrote that song. You know, to me, that's really, in a way, like it's a great transition from The Living Infinite. It's a pretty classic sounding Soilwork song. It has the epic and the catchy side, but at the same time, it does have the melancholy that's kind of the theme and the feeling on the Ride Majestic, the album. So it was a perfect song to start the album with, and I really like it a lot personally.
And can you tell me a bit about the cover art of the album and what that means, and how it sort of ties the whole Ride Majestic theme together?
Well, I think the idea for the cover art came together in my mind before the actual title, and I did picture something hand-drawn, black and white, almost biblical looking, and also picture sort of like a maelstrom of lost souls in the sky. So it was just a matter of finding the right, you know, artist to pull it off, and I did some, you know, research, and I found a lot of work by Gustave Doré, which I really like, and So I was browsing and found this guy named Robert Borbas, a Hungarian guy of Grin Design, fantastic artist, and luckily he was a Soilwork fan as well. So he happily said yes to do the cover artwork. And what was really cool is that he kept me posted like every hour, like kept me updated as the album art took form. And so that was a really interesting process to see the whole thing come together.
And can you tell me a little bit about the track Father and Son and why you chose to end the record with that one?
Yeah, I mean that's a classic closing track. I
Yeah.
think we initially had it somewhere in the middle of the list, and then I was listening to it, and I was like, the way it kind of builds up and kind of deconstructs again in the end, to me felt like a really nice way to end the procession of the Ride Majestic. And
Yeah.
you can maybe say some more about that.
Yeah, you were definitely right about that one, because I remember we were trying to do the track order, and I think I personally put it somewhere in the middle, but then Dirk convinced me to put it as the last track, and I think perfect. I don't know, it has like a doomy feel to it, especially the end there, and the lyrics deal with a dream that I had, a really scary dream, probably a year ago, that I was standing in the living room with my dad, and we realized that the world was going down. Like, to see the horror in each other's eyes was just horrific. It was really horrifying, and it felt so real. And I didn't really know what to do with it, because it's almost like I already know what it would feel like if the world kind of went down, and just that whole rumble and looking into each other's eyes and kind of holding on to each other. It was just really scary feeling. So I'm glad I got to kind of channel that dream into a song.